everyone. Once again, welcome to my show, HR with Solomon. It's nice to see you again, and I hope we had a great month together. I bring a special guest for you people. It's the person called Mher. The Mher was career coach who works every stage of professional life cycle for guiding undergraduate through the Memorial University recruitment and career program to manage the complex HR stuff in different and various sectors. He has screened thousands of candidates and managed high volume of market recruitment across British Columbia. And today he is focused on empowering the individuals who want to build their career in the career roadmap they deserve. He is the person you go to when you are tired with the standard job search, and he is ready to help you with the strategical edge, how to knock the doors with a greater strategy of getting placed in the companies. It is a great honor to have him. Welcome, Maher. Welcome to HR with Solomon. How are you?
I'm good, Solomon. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, like you are doing an amazing job because I'm a HR student, and what you are doing for the students, it's great. A great tremendous job, because everyone feels that finding a job it's easy when people of get exhausted of method of doing things, and you are
Yes.
expert of how to breaking the things. It's a great, I could say it is a great beneficial for the like students who got placed with you. So could you able to tell about yourself, what exactly your approach on how you coach people?
How I approach people is very personal approach. So I listen to them. I see where they are in their career journey and where they want to be. So guiding them from point A to point B, and all the way I'm being held them accountable on the activities that they need to do. But the first thing I tell people that you need to know your values. You need to know what kind of jobs do you want? What kind of employer you want? What kind of boss do you want? What kind of company do you want? And identifying your personal values, knowing your stories before going and clicking apply. So applying should be the last resort. First should be knowing your values. And as you mentioned, because job search is very exhausting, so you need to take care of your mental health, you need to take care of yourself. It's okay not to be okay in few days. Take time off to be refreshed, because if your cup is not filled, you cannot give to anyone. So that's how I approach it.
Yeah, I think this section is going to be a great beneficial session for the job seekers to know the strategy. Also, for my listeners, encouraged you watch like Mher is also having a YouTube channel like me, and I'll put his YouTube channel on the description. He used to interview with couple of leaders, HR leaders, and other people, which will give you the insight of how to build the strategy in terms of recruitment. So, move without further ado, I like to start up the show with the first segment. Meher, you have navigated both corporate HR world and the world of university recruitment. What is the biggest aha moment about how the Canadian companies views international talent versus how they interview candidate view themselves?
I would say international candidates or students that I've dealt when I was working at Memorial is they underestimate how much value they can bring to the table, right? So oftentimes they say that I have done this or I was a manager in my home country, but I lack Canadian experience, which I can relate to them because that was also my story. When I came 12 years ago, I had my MBA and was all recognized, but I didn't have the Canadian experience. And a lot of times I got rejected because of that. And it's frustrating because we as international students or immigrants, we know that we can do the job. It's not a lack of experience. I think it's lack of translation from the employers. A lot of times employers, maybe this is their first time engaging with an immigrant, especially here in Newfoundland. I heard stories that 10 years ago, the immigration is very like low. It was all, a lot of not immigrants, right? So mostly white people here. So I would say that a lot of employers are saying, can this person understand our workplace? Can they communicate clearly? Can they adapt to our way of doing things? So my coaching approach is a candidate or international should be stop presenting themselves, hey, I'm a newcomer, give me a chance. No, they should present themselves as professionals with transferable skills, international perspective and knowledge of that market, and resilience, of course, and strong motivation. They might shift from please accept my background to here's my background to solve your problem, because at the end of the day, employers are looking for people who can solve problems for them. And that's why the job posting is there. They have a problem, they need a solution, and they need to find a person who can do the job.
Yeah, what you can tell us, like I can understand when I built a resume, like with a couple of people reviewing my resume, they told that if you're telling that if you're a people person, how you can, identify you are people person, do you have some matrix like what you did in the past with the like from 10 percentage to 15 percentage or 20 to 25 percentage.
Mhm.
I think when I came here, I felt the same. People like how they are going to gauge the things with networking people and learning the things from people like you. I can understand that okay, if I put it my resume in certain ways, which means that this one
Mhm.
you could say that it will be more beneficial for the recruiter. They can translate my skills, they can customize for their organization. That makes sense. It's like what you say, I can personalize myself and I can understand that.
Mhm. Yeah. Always tell your story, always relate to the job.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question.
Mhm.
When the newcomer arrives to, city of St. John's or Vancouver, they are often told just network. I could say networking is a good thing. Like people, used to tell that was a vague advice. What are the 3 steps, tactical steps you can give to your client for the first day of building the genuine relevance networking?
Yeah, that's a very important question. It's important to have a roadmap when you are new to a country, because a lot of things, because in Canada, there's very much diverse. The multicultural is so diverse. So you need to navigate that. So first and foremost, I'll tell people like, identify 5 or 10 companies that you think that you want to work for. Or if you don't know the name of the companies because you're new, let's start with job titles. That would be easier for you. Identify maybe 3 or 4 job titles that you are familiar or that you have done in your home country, and read the job description. Read the qualification, read the requirements. Do I have those skills? Do I need a certification, or do I speak the same language? That will help you understand, the market, and instead of just applying blindly, because applying blindly will not help. So first, you have to identify the market and the Canadian market and what they are looking for. The second thing I would say is build a Canadian style professional package. And the package will include, very targeted resume, because in other parts of the country it might be a CV, and in that CV you can put your picture, date of birth, you're married, things like that. Here in Canada, we remove all those things. So it's important to know what kind of resumes you need to apply. The second thing is that people don't know, and I was one of them, like how to have a strong LinkedIn profile, how to have an optimized LinkedIn account. So that's part that I always teach my students or my clients, that it's very important to have that, and also have 2 or 3 stories, accomplishments that can relate to any job that you are applying, not just your duties, accomplishment statements, which we mentioned earlier, right? That's important. That's what recruiters are looking for. And the third one is relationship mapping. I tell people, to identify those companies, maybe 2 or 3 people that can build relationship. Go to community events, go to events, go to association events if they are part of the associations, and build relationship with them. And in building those relationships, you're not just asking jobs. You don't ask jobs from day one. You build relationship, and I talk about this a lot on my LinkedIn account that people can check it out about networking, building relationship, because that's how I got my first job. It took me 9 months of no, 7 months of building relationships, going to events, talking to people, and then someone who knew someone they were hiring, and they recommended my name, and that's how I landed my first job. So those are the three things that I feel that any newcomer should be starting, knowing the market, have a Canadian package, and build a relationship.
I can personalize myself. Like when I came to Canada, this like I was all new. Like I don't know anyone. Then I started learning of networking. Then how it works. I know in having said that, I do see the networking is a great advantage because if you network with someone and you work for some event, like some responsibility you took, like helping them in the terms of registration, and the day of event you are helping with the registration desk or like organizing small things, it could
Mm.
it
Yeah,
could be seen in different way, because instead of you asking as an opportunity, you try to utilize the networking opportunity, the opportunity you get, because it will show you how relevant you are, how reliable you are, and how you do the things. So it is like, instead of you showing them how capable of doing things to the networking, if you're doing some volunteering for the event, and if you ask with that person, you need this job or like looking for something, they know like how you are, like how result oriented, how this person is focused. The networking and the volunteering is a great opportunity, because it's give you the skill to showcase your talent, what you have, instead of you going and asking something, like having a bank account, withdrawing a money, and you're trying to open a bank account. Now you are asking for something. So it's a
yeah.
great point. I can, personalize that one.
Yeah. I tell people, like, as you mentioned, like networking is like opening a bank account and you don't withdraw from day one. You need to invest. You need to put some money. And how do you do that with people on LinkedIn is that you comment on their posts, you send them articles. Hey, I read this article, I thought about you. Or sometimes you can share something on LinkedIn and you can tag them, and always engaging in their content. It takes 3 to 6 months to build that trust before asking anything. And because people will help people that they trust and build relationship. And again, recruiters or hiring manager, they are human beings. It takes time to build those relationships. So you cannot ask from day one, knock the door, hey, help me, I'm a newcomer, or help me, I need a job now. That doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. That a lot of information, like I can say that it's personally, the information what you are giving is great beneficial for me. Other than they it could be a great beneficial for our listeners also. So moving on to the next question. This is like real, my favorite part of this session: resume reality. You have screened thousands of resume. Beyond the
Mhm.
keywords, what is the one native narrative error you see in the resumes when makes the hiring manager hit rejection, even though they have a right skill? Like you might seen a lot.
Yeah, I would say a lot of times recruiters and hire manager, we want to see accomplishment statements. We need to see numbers, percentages. If someone says responsible for customer service, okay, so then what? Have you improved the process? Did you support how many candidates? Did you solve a problem? It's always important to ask 3 questions on your resume quickly. What roles you are targeting? So it's very targeted resume, customized. What values you're bringing to the table? And do you have the evidence to prove it? That's why the accomplishment statement is important. Because the hiring managers, as I said earlier, they don't have time to connect the dots. The resume has to make the match very obvious. And usually recruiters or hiring managers, they have 6 to 7 seconds to read a resume. Is this a yes or is this a no? So it's very important to be targeted and have an accomplishment statement. I've seen people saying that I work in teams. You can always say I work with diverse 10 people. We accomplished the organizational goal by 100% delivery on time, and the customer was happy and successful in their implementation. Those are the things that you need to put. Accomplishment statement, numbers is very important. And the other thing I would add is that if in your resume you can mention that you saved time, that you increase revenue, and somehow you reduce cost, that will open the eyes of your recruiter or hiring manager to speak with you. So important that at the end of the day, people want to make more money faster and they want to reduce costs. If somehow in your accomplishment statement you can mention one of those or all of them, that will be great. That then your resume will be a great, obvious match to them.
Yeah, this could be a great beneficial for like whoever it is, like whatever it may be. It could be a student or like recent grad or who who want to switch their job, because sometimes the key message from people like you who look upon having the different lens of recruitment, because like recruiter will like look for things, but when you got rejected, you're not sure, like sometimes people once they get selected, like it's all good, like once it is not done, like we will be thinking like, okay, what I did, even though I have all my clarific like
Mhm.
credentials, experience, without like it is like we are trying to hit a bullseye in terms of like get hired to the job, but if you are not able to know how to focus on the bullseye, the three things you told, the roles and the target for like what you are bringing to the company as a person,
Mhm.
like it matters, because if the person is trusting you and ready to invest on you in the organization to building upon these steps or a team on you, it makes so relevant now how we have to customize. And one key thing I notice is like resume should be more customized for each and every position we apply, because
Definitely.
nowadays, like, yeah, I do see like people are applying for one resume for different jobs. It doesn't make
No,
sense, because
won't work anymore. No, no.
yeah, because having ATS, like the application tracking system, like
Mhm.
it is, sometimes people will skim through your resume, but most of the times now it was advancement of technology, we have to think about that. Do you have any tips about the ATS, like since you talked
The
about the
ATS,
resume?
is it the devil or is it what is it? That's been the debate for a while. Even for recruiters, I've asked on my interview channel that you mentioned, I asked 193 people about the ATS, how to pass the ATS. Because some companies can get 500 or 600 resumes, they cannot reach all of them. Right. So for them, it's important that you have those keywords. And I know that with nowadays, there's a lot of, AI software that you can upload your resume, upload your job posting and say, if it's a match, minimum 80% above should have it. Or what are the keywords? Use the same keywords that you have on the job description to have it on your resume. But even with that, sometimes we don't know what are the parameters of the recruiter that are looking for. Are they specifically looking for these keywords? Are they looking for, the accomplishment statement that we mentioned? Are they looking for anything different? Sometimes a job description is a wishful list. And sometimes we feel, oh, I don't have that. But if you have at least 70 or 80%, you can still apply. So that's why building relationship comes first. And the stat says that a lot of times hiring is done through referrals, through networking. 80% is done through referral and networking, and 20% is done only through applying directly. So that's why you need to build the relationship before a job is posting. But what's happening is that with newcomers or immigrants, I see a job, Solomon is hiring. I connect with Solomon. Hey, Solomon, can you help me? This is my resume. It doesn't work that way. You need to build that relationship before a job posting comes. So when you are in a university or when you are even working, continue those relationships. The two things that I tell people when I'm coaching, networking and being visible on LinkedIn should be your daily activity. Minimum 1 hour you should be building on those, because we don't know with nowadays with this competitive market with so much layoffs, you never know when you will be on the other side. So if you haven't done any built relationship, then you are kind of, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's important to have those two in mind.
My next question, interviewing as an architect. So
Hmm.
many candidates treat the interview as a test wherein they are subject how the candidates flip the script of action like an architect, and how do they can prepare for interview like a conversation, to have the effective interview with hiring manager.
Yeah, I would say treat interviews like a two-way professional communication. They're evaluating you, you're evaluating them, making sure that you have your stories ready. So I tell my candidates or people I'm helping that let's read the job requirements line by line and let's create a story related to this. And usually the stories will be about, the STAR method, the situation, task, action, and result. But what I add extra is another R, which is reflection. And the reflection will be related to the job. Usually they will ask you, tell me about a time you did this. What is your biggest challenge? They want to know more about you. And it's important to tell your stories in a very strategic way, in a very curious mindset, and the accomplishment statement that we have mentioned before. At the end, the reflection part will be is something like this. So based on our conversation, I understand that this role requires X, Y, and Z. My experience in these areas would allow me to contribute by giving the numbers. Again, as I said, the formulas about money, time, and saving and cost. So those are kind of, if you can relate them. And of course, you need to do your research about the company, read their recent, market ideas or products or financial statement relate to that. And even you can interview, either the recruiter or the hiring manager, find a common ground to start to go there. It means that you are prepared. So, and at the very end, it's very important to ask question, because not asking a question is also a red flag. So ask question that is very related to you. It can be anything but money, about maybe the company culture, or how is success going to be evaluated in this role, what is expected from me from this 30, 60, 90 days, very specific. And that will make a conversation more, professional there, and then that you are prepared.
It's like a hidden job market. You have spent
Mm,
years in the employee relationship. One thing the students should do to get into an employer's radar before the posting in job boarding. You talked
yeah.
about detailing about the network. So could you able to
hmm
add a point some points, or like what should be the students should do in a radar
hmm
of like employer?
Yeah, definitely. And again, as I said, my first job was through hidden job market. It took me 7 months to find that. So when you are a student, you have more time to be very strategic. So I tell the people I'm helping that identify 5 to 10 companies you want to work either in Newfoundland or outside Newfoundland. We want everyone to stay here, but we know the market is sometimes can be difficult. So identify those 5 or 10 companies that you want to work. Follow them on LinkedIn. But before you follow them, you should have an optimized LinkedIn account, which is a separate workshop that I teach people. So once you have a good LinkedIn account and you are following these companies, you need to engage with them. And a lot of times, universities and colleges, they do a lot of job fairs. So when you are attending the job fairs, most of the times, the university or the colleges, they put the names of the organizations who's attending. So you need to go do your research. So you need to go on the company's website, see if they are hiring or not. And if there's a specific role that you want to apply, have your resume customized and have it with you when you go to meet with the hiring manager. And then you do your elevator pitch. This is what I can bring to the table. This is what I have done, from your campus employment, the project, the transferable skills that you can bring to the important part is that you are prepared. You cannot go to a fair and tell an employer that, hey, so what are you hiring? It tells me as a recruiter that you haven't done your research. You haven't been prepared. So I know that sometimes there's a lot of employers. So again, if you identify 10 companies, you have your 10 resumes specifically for those. So when you are there, you're visiting those 10 companies first. And then if there's time, maybe you can visit the rest and have a built relationship with them. The important part is after the fair is the follow-up. You can send them a message on LinkedIn and you can say, thank you for sharing this information about your organization. I was very much interested in your comments about something that you discussed. And then the follow-up will stand up from all other people. And again, having a polished LinkedIn profile is very important. So that's why I tell people, first know your values, know that finding a job can be very difficult. So you need to have a good strategy. You need to have a good positive mindset. And then you need to have a good LinkedIn account to help you, optimize and connect with people, network with people, and then apply. So it's all related to each other. So the hidden job market is not magic, it's relationship, and you should be ready for it. People, when you are attending networking event, try to identify three new people, just three. You're not going to meet 100, just three new people, and ask them, what's their intention from attending this event or what they're looking forward from this event. And it's all about them, not about you, right? So, and people will talk about themselves more. And then again, the follow up is the key in this area.
Thanks for that. Probably I will use that
Mhm.
in upcoming job fair, which I'm going to attend. So I have time to prepare for myself. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing with our audience.
That's fine.
So moving up on to the next question,
Mhm.
you see the modern job market is shift incredibly fast and candidates are worried about making the wrong career pivot or choosing the right industrial path. Given you as a career coach across the individuals through the different sectors, what is the framework do you use for the profession for the future approve their careers and their navigating to uncertainty?
Yeah. So the market is changing so fast and we need to keep up with them. So my framework with my clients includes four things. So first, clarity. We talked about this before, it's important to know your values, your transferable skills, what kind of problems you can solve. So before choosing any industry, you need to understand that what they are actually, what you are bringing to the table, why they should hire you and not someone else. So knowing your values, knowing your story is very important. Second is evidence. So we need to look at the job posting, the labor market trends, employer's expectation, any new skills that you are looking for. You need to make sure that you are making informed decision and not just rational or emotional decision. So it's important to know what the market looks like. The third thing I will tell you is that you need to be adaptable. In this market that is constantly changing, constantly adapting. The things that employees are looking for are good communication, digital literacy, which is becoming very important these days, problem solving, and relationship building. So if you're able to translate those in any market across sectors, that will make you a very adaptable person. You're not just one job, one title. You can do many things with those transferable skills that I mentioned. And the fourth thing is that I think we talked about this is visibility. You need to have a very strong resume. The LinkedIn, should be very optimized and so that people can see your values when you are commenting or when you are posting things. And the networking part is very important. So those are the four things: clarity, evidence, adaptability, and visibility. You have to make sure that all those things there's no one perfect for everyone. You need to build your own roadmap and you need to be flexible. Again, when you know your values and when you watch the market, what they're looking for, keep learning. At this day and age, we should be keep learning new skills, new certification, anything on, the YouTube, there's a lot of free stuff. Even some universities, they provide free courses. Why don't you take them, and make sure that your values are visible. This is how professionals stay ready. And even with the job market is uncertain, if you are keep doing this, you'll be the one that's beating and you'll be the one that everyone wants to work.
Yeah, this session has turned out a good session for me personally. Probably like active job seekers who tried hard to crack the job market because you break down the step of from step 1 to step 5 what needs to be done. So I think it could be a great beneficial and you will hear the great testimony of people reach out to you asking for more clarification. So moving upon to the next question, if you had put a one piece of career advice for
Mhm.
every student in Canada, what should be the one thing you will tell? Like what one thing, a piece of advice?
One piece of advice, what should be? I would say, build your own roadmap. Don't be distracted with other people's doing what, don't be distracted what others are doing. Build your own roadmap, tell your story, and make your values visible. A lot of times people be invisible because they assume that hard work alone will be noticed. But in this day and age, it's all about relationship. It's all about telling your stories. You need to understand, again, we come back to the values. And you need to communicate those values very clearly. And where are you communicating those? On LinkedIn. And you're building your relationship and you're going to community event and you're always taking actions. You don't have to be just, I know myself and I'm not telling. No, you take actions. Those actions can be volunteering. Those actions can be posting on LinkedIn, which I highly recommend everyone to do that. So your career is not something that happens to you. It's something that you design yourself. Yeah. And then when you build those relationships, just don't, as I said, you need to invest in those relations. So identifying people, because like I am connected with 9,000 people on LinkedIn. I'm not going to invest in any of them. So I have in my mind 10 or 15 people. I always make sure that I'm commenting on their posts. I always make sure that I'm reaching out them with messages. And again, on LinkedIn, there is also an option of catching up, happy birthday, happy anniversary, or if someone posts something, comment very strategically or reach out to them, say, hey, Solomon, you posted it resonated with me. This is are my thoughts, have a build a relationship and continue to that. Don't reach out to people when you need them. You need to constantly be active. And again, not everyone will respond at the same time. So don't take it personally. You need to do your own. You cannot control what other people are doing. You can only control what you are doing. Again, as I said, create your own roadmap, do your thing, be visible, know your values, tell your stories, and the rest will come.
That's a great session. And you told about you do career coaching. So could you able to share the information of that so that if someone want to, contact you for the career coaching, you
Yeah,
can use this platform through
yeah, for
sharing your
sure. So,
information?
yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, send a message that you saw me speaking with Solomon, and then that will give you an opportunity to have conversation. You can also book a discovery call with me through my booking link, which is on my LinkedIn account. And again, as Solomon mentioned, I have a YouTube channel where I've interviewed 193 people internationally, locally, Canadian, US, European, you name it. I have them. It's all on YouTube. It's a free access that you can check them out and implement what they're saying. There's nothing new, but it's the accountability, it's the follow up, it's being consistent that will differentiate you from other people who are applying for a job. And thank you for having me, Solomon.
Yeah, and as Mher, as I mentioned, I get a great benefit and insight from watching the Mher's YouTube channel. I'll leave the link in my bio. Link. If you were someone want to book a conversation, I will leave the link in the description. I worked with Mher like for a couple of times through networking. Mher is a great resource who wants to understand, not even like not for the job, like how to navigate the things in terms of
Yeah.
networking, or how to navigate the things with the organization. Order for me and for my audience to have a person like you breaking the big step of interviewing and getting to the company. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Solomon. And I'm more than happy to help anyone who reaches out to me. We're here to help.
Okay. This session is coming to an end. Thanks for everyone watching and have a great summer.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.